Well, hello everybody, and thanks for attending today. Appreciate you all coming out on a Tuesday to see our presentation of BidMatrix. I'm joined today by Ryan Lipka, our head of pre-sales and pre-construction, and I'm your host, Ben Opperman. As you all know, managing the bid process is a difficult one, particularly with hard bids. BidMatrix is a tool, a multi-user cloud environment that helps you manage your subcontractors and vendors, gives you tools to do some bid leveling, and tracks things like your statistical tracking for minority owned and other metrics that you want to track on your jobs. BidMatrix, as I said, is a multi-user environment for managing your bids. It's fully capable of handling all alternatives. And Ryan is going to share with us exactly how we accomplish that today. Ryan, do you want to take the screen and show our guests exactly how BidMatrix works?
I will do so. So I'm going to share my screen with everyone. Hopefully everyone can see this. This is BidMatrix. So thank you, Ben, for the introduction. And like mentioned, we're going to do a short kind of introductory demo to Sage BidMatrix. And so first we'll start off with what is BidMatrix. And BidMatrix is what we might call an electronic or a virtual bid room or war room. So many of you in the construction industry are probably familiar with those terms. You're probably used to sitting in someone's office, all grouped together, sorting through your subcontractor bids in a paper form, or there's some that I know that use Microsoft Excel, but BidMatrix is going to make that electronic for us, and it's a collaborative environment where we can have multi-users joined together. So really, it's going to be where we can track our sub and vendor bids, do some bid analysis, some bid leveling. We can handle and track those things like clarifications, otherwise maybe better known as inclusions or exclusions, as well as, like was mentioned in the introduction, that we can do those DB statistical tracking. So if you're performing maybe some of those government funded projects where we have some of those statistic requirements, as we're performing our bid analysis and doing our subcontractor selections, we can track and make sure that we're meeting those requirements as we go along. So as you can see on my screen, this is the login screen to BidMatrix. It's just opened on a Google Chrome browser. So if you have an internet connection in a browser, basically you can access BidMatrix from anywhere. And along with that, it is a multi-user environment. So however big your estimating team is, we can handle all of them, and the system does a really good job of tracking where the users are, as well as showing a pretty comprehensive audit trail of what changes have been made. And as we go through the demo, we'll touch on some of these today. I'm going to start out in the subcontractors tab here. So on my subs tab, we can view these subs in two different ways. I can view them in this table format, or we can go in a tile format. This is where you're going to be able to see their such things as their logo and the main company contacts. But as we look at this details tab over here, this is where we can edit this information for the subcontractor. But all of these are what we call attributes inside of BidMatrix. And so these are fully customizable, and we can make and design these according to your specific company. And so in the instance here of the demo, we have these broken down according to our different trades. And so we can assign a trade to the subcontractor. And this is going to help us in sorting through and finding the right subcontractors to bring into our bid packages. A couple that I'll point out here, we have like minority owned and a local subcontractor. These are attributes that we can track and assign to these subs that are going to assist us in that DB statistical tracking. So speaking of subcontractors, we have 3 integrations as well that are going to work with BidMatrix. Procore, SmartBid, and Building Connected can all be integrated with BidMatrix. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to use that subcontractor and vendor database from within these 3 systems. And that's going to allow us to use these databases and pull these vendors into our bid packages, as well as if you're utilizing any of these three for tracking such things as those statistics, it's going to pull those attributes into BidMatrix as well. Go back to the projects tab. Like I mentioned, this is our home screen. This is what you're going to see when you log into into BidMatrix. And so this is what we would consider our project portfolio. So basically any bids or projects that have an upcoming bid date that still need some bid analysis done on them, we're going to see them here on this screen. So I'm going to enter into Ryan's demo project here. This is the project that we're going to utilize for the coffee break today. And when we enter, this is what we're going to consider our bid room. And the first question or the first item that comes up as far as the bid room goes is, how do we get our bid or our estimate or bid packages into BidMatrix? And we have a direct integration with Sage Estimating, and that is how this estimate or bid package was brought in here today, was through Sage Estimating. But we also have an integration with WinEst, and then of course Microsoft Excel. So irregardless of what you're using as your estimating platform, whether it's like HESS, WinEst, Sage Estimating, or possibly even Microsoft Excel, still, as long as we can get your bid into an Excel format, we have that ability to import it in utilizing Microsoft Excel. So we still have the ability to just manually enter our bids, but for a pretty easy way is Microsoft Excel if we don't have an integration or you're not utilizing Sage Estimating. So. And then those of you familiar with Sage Estimating, we know that Sage Estimating itself has this alternate functionality built into it. So as we're building out our estimate or a bid, we're going to assign the individual items to a base bid or to an alternate. And that is one of the common questions that comes up even with BidMatrix is, well, how well do you handle alternates? And so in that instance that we're using Sage Estimating, as we're building our estimate and items are assigned, that's the first level of grouping that is automatically brought into BidMatrix. And so you can see here on my screen even, we have a base bid, we have an alternate for a parking garage and an alternate for building number 2. When we drill down or expand on the base bid, for instance, here's where we can see those individual bid packages that make up our base bid. And if I was to actually drill down on like this alternate for building number 2, we're going to see the same thing. These are the bid packages that make up this particular alternate. We're going to work in the base bid, and we're going to work more specifically in the HVAC bid package. And I'll take a moment here to note as well, touching on that multi-user functionality. So we can see 2 different things here. The system is acknowledging that we have another user logged into the system. It's going to show us their initials. I know that this happens to be Ben Hofferman. He's logged in here with me today for the demo. And we can actually see that he's working in this alternate. And if we were actually to drill down on this alternate, it shows right down to the bid package and even right down to what cell that he's working in. Like I mentioned, we're going to work in the HVAC bid package. So apart from being able to bring this in broken apart by bid package, we can break each bid package down a little bit further. And Sage uses what we call phases to break this down. But basically, we can make up each bid package into multiple different line items as we go along. We're going to drill down into the bid package. So, like mentioned, this is our HVAC bid package, and it is made up of 5 different line items, 5 different items that we can get an individual price for, essentially. So to start out, I'm just going to kind of show you how easily we can change or rearrange our screen so that we can view all the data that we need to in an easy way. So, currently we can see that we have a number of subs in here, but we have to scroll. So we can just quickly resize any of these columns to be able to narrow it down and see that important information without scrolling back and forth. We can also easily rearrange our subcontractors in any way that we need. And as we jump in, obviously here, like mentioned, we have 8 subcontractors already brought in, but in the instance, this was a brand new bid package. We didn't have subcontractors in. It's as easy as adding a subcontractor here. We can search for the subcontractor by name, or we can search for it by that trade focus that we had set up. The system's going to give us that list. of all of our available subcontractors, and we simply have to click on it to bring them in. I did accidentally add another one, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete them out of here for now. But so then if I point out, the next step would be to actually bring in those subcontractor bid numbers. And so BidMatrix allows us two ways to do this. And so the first way we can see these first two subcontractors, they have check boxes in their columns there, in their cells. And so what this means is this subcontractor provided us with a lump sum number for the complete bid package. And so automatically BidMatrix will give us check boxes that we can indicate whether each of the individual line items was included or not included. So in the case of hardware mechanical, the first four were included, but the last one wasn't. Midstate did include all of them. The rest or the remaining subcontractors, they provided an individual number for each of the line items. And so what BidMatrix will do in that case is they'll actually lock this total cell so that we can't edit it. And it's just going to tally up the individual numbers in those line items. So as we start in our bid leveling process, at this point now we have our subs entered as well as our bids entered. So this is where we would start our analysis and our bid leveling process. And so the first thing that we can make a note of is we have these lightly shaded green cells, as well as this path analysis area down here on the left. And so these two are pretty directly connected, and the green cells are indicating us the current lowest possible path to make up our lowest price. And so if we look at these numbers on the lower left, we can see that there's a few different lines here, but our absolute lowest value is showing us 1,524,000 is our total lowest path. It's a budget difference of 97,000, and we have 6,486 different options essentially that make this up. We can click the next button. It's going to show us path number 2, or the second lowest option, and it's going to also give us those valuable numbers. We can apply conditions to this, for in the instance of our HVAC. We might limit this to a single subcontractor, so we don't have 5 different subcontractors. That can cause problems, tension between the contractors, and maybe if one contractor knows the whole scope of work, things are just going to go more efficiently. So we can apply these conditions like this. A couple of things to know right away: how the green cells automatically shifted. They're all in line with one contractor. It also indicated to us that there are 1 of 6 options available to us. And we might ask, well, why are there 6 options rather than 8 when we have 8 subs? It's because 2 of these didn't supply the complete scope of work, and so they're automatically out of the running. And so we can exclude them. That's going to highlight them with a dark red color, indicating to us that they're not even an option. But we also might look at this and say, well, how can maybe we want to supplement this and make Cooks. Maybe Cooks has been our preferred subcontractor, our go-to, and so we want to clarify with them that why wasn't this included. And so just by clicking on that cell, it's going to bring up that subcontractor information. And a couple of things to point out here: we can see those attributes that we kind of went over on that subcontractors tab. So especially these 2 items like minority owned and local subcontractor. So for instance, if we're tracking DB statistics, simply by clicking on a cell in relation to that subcontractor, we'll be able to see if they are minority owned or local, and that might help us in our decision-making process as well. I'll point out as well that these 2 links here, these are direct links. So if we were to click on them, one would bring us to email, the other one would actually call this subcontractor. So in the instance, maybe we use the direct link, called Sandy Paulson, and just asked them the question, hey, did you intend to leave out the HVAC controls, or was that kind of an oversight? Maybe Sandy says, yeah, that was an oversight. Maybe add $130,000 in there, and I'll get you an updated bid. So we can supplement this simply by coming in here. We can bring in our budget number, but then we need to adjust that down to equal $130,000. A couple of things that we can point out right away: we can see these little notification tabs within the cell. And so that's indicating to us that the sub didn't bid it, but the supplement makes the value. This one is going to tell us the supplement amount. We also have that ability to add notes in here. And so maybe we put a note that stops with Sandy, and the system's going to give us another little notification there that there is a note associated with this cell. And I'd like to point out at this time as well that with that multi-user environment, anybody who logs into the system and actually comes into this bid package is going to see these exact same notifications. It's not only the person that applies them, but any user within the system. These notes down here, these are going to be general notes in relation to the HVAC bid package as a whole, and we're also going to be able to see these on the summary page. So in the instance you have like a bid captain that just does a review, he can read any of these notes on the summary page without actually coming into the bid package. We'll take a minute and touch on alternates. So we have our alternates tab down here. From this alternates tab, we can actually drill down to the alternates. And so like in this instance, if we drill down into alternate 1, now we're in that HVAC bid package for alternate 1. This is also going to give us that ability to review our bids as a project as a whole rather than base bid alternates broken apart. And so this might be valuable in the instance that, if the likelihood that these alternates are going to go, maybe we want to make our subcontractor selection based upon the project as a whole rather than broken apart by the alternates in the base bid. And so that gives us that ability to review that data. Speaking on clarifications, or like mentioned, otherwise known as inclusions or exclusions, that's what this clarifications tab is going to do for us. Here we can create these things kind of like a quality control checklist. Was this bid per plans and specs? In the instance of HVAC, did they include the slab hangers? Did they include cleanup, etc.? And these are easily toggled on and off to indicate whether they were included or not. But we can see when Cook's Mechanical was entered, they didn't include cleanup. And so very easily we can actually just come in here and supplement this, because we know that cleanup's there's going to be a dollar value. There's going to be man hours associated with it that are going to transform into a dollar value. So maybe we want to add $30,000 to this to supplement the bid to include that. So there again, the system gives us that little notification down here as well up in the main grid. So even if we aren't working on the clarifications tab, we're still going to get that indication that this was supplemented. So you can see it's pretty easy to supplement and do some bid leveling here as far as our bid analysis goes. And then the last tab here is our history tab. And so speaking of that multi-user environment and that audit trail, we can click on any one of these cells here, and it's going to give us a step-by-step of what happened in that cell. So first, the bid amount was added, the conditions were updated and cleared, and a supplement was added. We can click on the next one down, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to give us a detailed audit trail of what happened in that cell. Once we're done with our bid analysis, and now it's time to make a subcontractor selection, and I'm going to use Cook's today just for the sake of the demo, but maybe that's our relationship that we have. So we can actually come up here and require them, and this is going to give us a dark green shaded cell indicating that is our contractor of choice. And maybe we add a note here that says good relationship and below budget. So now we have a general note here, and then we can actually lock this matrix. And when we lock the matrix, that just makes it so that we can't come in here and accidentally edit a cell. But if we did need to edit a cell, we could simply click unlock and go to the cell that we needed to edit. Back into the summary sheet. Now we can see a few things on this sheet. First off, we can see that note that was added in there. So like mentioned, if your bid captain is just here to do an overall review, he can see why we picked Cook's Mechanical for this bid package. You can also see that it's locked. It gives us information such as what was our original budget versus the subcontractor's bid. So a lot of good information here on the summaries page as well. The next one we will touch on will be our totals page, and totals, otherwise known as markups, as we can see here. And so I'll take a minute and point out too that at this time, if we are a Sage estimating desktop user, at this point, we could utilize this closeout button. What this is going to do is it's going to take all of those leveled bid numbers and those contractor selections, and it's going to actually create a new estimate back inside of Sage Estimating, where at that point we can apply all of our markups and standard fees and stuff that we're used to applying in Sage Estimating. But it's like mentioned, it's going to create a second bid. And so we're going to have that original bid as well as this revised bid. And then so we'll have that capability as well to compare them side by side. But in the instance that we want to apply markups within BidMatrix, we have that full functionality. So we can see here it can be broken down by overall bid, base bid, or any of the alternates. If we take a look in our base bid, we can see such things as fees, insurance, overhead, and profit, HVAC contingency. I'm going to drill down on this one just to show you kind of the level of detail we can get. And so we can see here, as we scroll down this list, we know that this is a HVAC contingency. So we can see on the list here in our HVAC bid package, this is the only area where this overhead or markup applies to. So down to that level of detail, and even further, this currently applies to all, but we could apply it only to equipment items if we really wanted to. Onto the statistical tracking. So like mentioned, those minority owned, local owned, any of those statistics that might be required, especially when it comes to those federal funded projects. So we can configure these items here. We just pull in those different attributes that are assigned to those contractors. And then we can set levels or goals that we need to meet. And so for instance, this minority owned was set at a 25% goal that we wanted to meet. Currently, we're only at 7.4%, so that the system is indicating us with that little red color that this statistic has not been met. But if we take a look at the local subs, we can see we had a goal of 20%. We're at 27.8. That's a green color indicating us that we're good to go on this statistic. So a pretty useful statistical tracking feature as well. That way we don't have to track this in another outside system. Again, it's all contained into the one BidMatrix here. Touch a little bit on reporting. So some useful out of the box reports. We can create custom reports as well. I did open up a report ahead of time just to show you guys, and using this HTML feature, we can export this into a Word doc or an Excel spreadsheet again. But I open this up and it's going to be on a web browser. And so it's going to show us a summary for the bid package. So there again, it's breaking it apart by that base bid or the alternate to the bid package, and then the total bid per bid package. So a lot of useful out of the box reports even. So that is it for our coffee break demo. Ben's going to take over, has a few more slides to go through, and I believe we'll open it up to questions if there are any.
Thank you, Ryan. Let me just go ahead and change my screen share. What an excellent presentation. Thank you. Filled with lots of great details on BidMatrix. As you saw from our presentation, we offer the ability to bring in various subcontractors and manage their bids. We have integration to some of the largest packages out there, and we can set those custom attributes on a project so we can do reporting based on them. We have tools to level our projects, and we have the statistical tracking to keep track of how our minority reporting or local needs are fulfilled. So, if you liked what you saw today and you'd be interested in scheduling an automation appointment with RKL or help develop a list of your priorities for your firm, or would like to know just more about BidMatrix, I'd encourage you to reach out and let us know how we can help. You can call myself or Ryan. Our numbers and emails are on the screen, and we'd be really happy to follow back up with you. Thanks again for attending today, and we look forward to seeing you on our next coffee break.